Maybe that's why Kenny Anthony referred to, after the 2001 election, when Kenny Anthony said Mario Michel had a character flaw. You might remember that. I wonder if Mario Michel will find the gonas now to come and say that Kenny Anthony had a character flaw. That's why elections went so bad. Because a lot of people believe that Kenny Anthony has a character flaw, Kenny Anthony. They believe that. So I wonder if Mario Michel will find the gonas, or if he's going to be a Mr. Nice Guy and keep quiet. I don't know. But as I say, I kept thinking of Damian Greaves, a nice guy. A hard-working minister, a concerned minister, a modern-day guy. When a guy can go and do his AIDS test and make it public to set an example, you got to admire that guy. I wouldn't do it. Every time I go and have his test, I want to die. Because anybody who's had sex can get a surprise. Anybody can have sex. You never know when it's going to strike. Once you've had sex, you're in trouble. Okay? You have possible trouble. So every time I've had to have an AIDS test, I die. I bet you're the same. Some of you don't even have the AIDS test because you're so scared. But this guy went, and in fact, I was talking to him shortly before the elections, and as I recall, Damien was saying to me, boy, I hope I'm all right. You know, and Damien is Mr. Straight Guy. But I know what he was talking about. But here's a guy who goes and takes an AIDS test, publicizes it, and says, by the way, Damien, have you given us the result yet? I don't know. I think you still should. That's guts and courage. Yet he didn't have the courage to tell his prime minister, you're going to shaft us. Every one of those ministers and every one of the honchos knew they were in trouble with that election based on Kenny Anthony's public image. They knew. They also knew why the image. Kenny Anthony himself knew about his image. That's why Kenny Anthony said on one of his conversations to the station, I mean conversations to the nation. I always get that wrong. You know, that people were saying to him publicly, you know, Nom Salah c'est un chien. Mahai Nom Salah. Even his promos, the election promos, were referring to people not liking him. His promos were referring to people not liking him. Not liking you, Nom Salah c'est un chien, etc., etc. That's the guy who walked on water in 1997. That's the guy who stood before a Red Sea. And I'm sure if you wanted to part the Red Sea, then you could have parted it as well, you know. And still nobody said anything. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Blair can have challengers. Bush can have challengers. Even Putin can have challengers. And we cannot have challengers to our prime minister in this country, whether it's John Compton in his time or Kenny Anthony. The country loses. But first, the guys who lose are the guys who sat there and forgot they had balls. Philip Pierre now has to think. He now has to think. Should he? Can the Labour Party afford to have that, for want of a better word, tainted image, destructive image, as leader of the opposition in the House? Will that do anybody any good? Are we likely to see outbursts, take me to court, of a different kind in the House? Or will the Labour Party and Philip Pierre say Philip Pierre should be leader of the opposition and possibly a consideration of Julian Hunt maybe, or somebody else? Actually, over the last several weeks, we ran some questions on the website, the Star website. And among the questions was, if not Kenny Anthony for SLP leader, who? And the names suggested were Philip Pierre, Julian Hunt, Mario Michel, and Babu, no, what's his name? Mr. Finisterre, thank you, Junior, etc. Okay? Almost forgot Finisterre already. God, sorry to add. Sorry, Felix. Okay? I will tell you later on about that poll. We also did polls like, what did you think of the Frederick walkout? What did you think of, how do you rate Kenny Anthony as Prime Minister from excellent to poor? How do you rate future